Okay, hey everybody. I'm having a little bit of trouble here. I wanted to get my webcam working on here, and it's not letting me show myself unless I maybe do this. That's all I can think of for the moment. So there you go. Yeah, you can see me. I guess there's some software I need. I've never done this before with the video camera or with the webcam on the live stream. Alright, so anybody that's watching this video is going to watch it because of the title, Dad's the Truth About Ontario Court System and How to Win, and I got news for you, buds. You don't. I've been doing this for 4.5 years. My daughter was born in the winter. It was the happiest day of my life. And the relationship between the mother and I at the time was pretty good. We had, let me move my software here, give me a second, so I can monitor the microphone, make sure you guys are actually hearing me. So, just a short history so that you can understand the information, I should say, not advice, the information I'm going to give you. I want you to understand my situation so that you can compare that to your own, okay? And then, based on what I'm telling you from my case, and take the parts that have to do with yours, and that's kind of how you figure it out, because every case is different, right? So, you know, during the pregnancy, you know, I spent pretty much every waking moment against her belly, you know, talking and singing to my daughter. Found a song on YouTube, and called Daughter by a artist named Dion Roy. I used to take the headset and play it on YouTube. I'd put the headset on her belly, and so that she could hear it. When she was born, it was interesting because I had the song with me on a device, and I played it, and her head just snapped and looked right at it. She knew. You know, it's funny, my first picture with my daughter, and holding her as a baby, and my picture is this, you know, holding my daughter. You can tell with my eyes, though, that I was crying pretty hard. It's the air I breathe. First year of her life, I raised her on my own, for the most part. The first 6 months, Mom was around, but was increasingly difficult, wasn't helping. Would threaten me, and with things like, oh, well, if you don't do what I want, we break up, then I'm gonna take the kids and leave, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it because the courts favor women over men. Yeah, well, I thought she was full of it. I was actually happy when I got to court. I remember that. Oh, I couldn't wait. I was thinking, you know what? This judge is going to take a look at this picture, this whole situation, and just be like, you people get the heck out of my courtroom. This guy's awesome. Nope. No, they didn't care. Children's Aid got involved. I brought them in. Had to. Didn't matter who I went to. If I went to the police or anybody else, they would have gotten involved anyway. And they didn't support me one bit. Targeted me from the get-go. Ended up living at my parents' for 6 months, thinking that was a good idea, while raising my daughter. Most people in the country, in the world even, have supporting families. You know, their families love them, their parents love them, want to help them, do what they can. Some can because they're in a good situation in their lives to do it. Some can't because one reason or another. Maybe they're mentally ill, maybe they're too old, maybe they're too broke, maybe they're too stressed, health issues, whatever. In my case, I had my father is a church pastor. And I want you to wrap your head around that for a minute. He's a Reformed Church pastor for the Reformed Church of America / Canada. His church is Christ Community Church in Welland, Ontario. He also preaches at my grandfather's old church, the Highway Chapel in Dunnville. Now, my grandfather, my papa, awesome guy. There is no man on the planet better than he was. When my nanny had passed away and he was on his way out, that's when my dad went on his bender, started attacking me. It didn't take long. It took 6 months of lies, manipulations, setting me up to get his hands on my daughter. Even supporting an emotionally and physically abusive mother with pedophiles for boyfriends. And no joke. I can easily produce that evidence for anybody who wants to see it. It's not hard. Despite all the evidence I had, nobody would listen. Children's Aid didn't care. In the Niagara region, they're called the Family and Children's Services Niagara. The most crooked people you ever meet. They're not interested in child safety. Not even a little bit. All they care about is the money. And during the last 4.5 years, I've dealt with a number of families. Some of you may recognize my picture, like my face from pictures. You might recognize my story. A lot of people on Facebook and others. Although I did help some families that turned out to be Children's Aid workers in disguise. I thought that was interesting. They like to do that too. And but there were a number of families that did help. And not alone. I have friends that, one in particular, he knows who he is. He's got some pretty good case law. If you want some help, go on to canley.org. Look up the name Jeff Stapleford. He's Canadian, spent 7.5 years in the courts. I'm not going to go into his story, but I will tell you this. If there's any man on this planet capable of making change in this country, that's the guy. He's got a unique way of thinking. He's helped me. But even his help wasn't enough because unfortunately, although it was excellent advice, and with anybody actually doing their job like they're supposed to do, when I say anybody, I mean judges, law enforcement, Ontario children's lawyers, the Crown, whatever. Any of those officials doing their job, and every bit of advice he gave me, all the help that he gave me in getting the stuff I needed to fight back on my own, would have actually been so much more than enough. That technically speaking, the paperwork I already had done without all that stuff was still more than enough. But he gave me the evidence that, beyond any doubt, proves that in this country, families and children are not safe. At this point, I have nothing to lose, so I'm not afraid at this point to sit on YouTube and come out and say it. I just had a hearing on the 30th of September, and judge didn't care. I was set up to fail from the get-go. Didn't have a chance in hell. I'm appealing it, of course. Got damn good grounds for an appeal, too. But, you just watch, because I'll air that, too. The results of that. And I'll tell you right now, I don't think they're going to do anything. Because the problem we have is that these judges, they defend each other. They protect each other. They're all about the money. And if you think about it, and I mean, I would love to be wrong. I would love for a judge to come knocking on my door, okay, and prove me wrong. But I'll show you the evidence. Well, I'm not going to show you the evidence on the video. I'm not sure what I'm allowed to air yet. I have to have lawyers look at that first, but just so that I'm not taking evidence that destroying the use of evidence that other families could use to protect themselves. I have every intention to air everything I got against the ministry, against the entire system, so that you people can defend yourselves. Okay? Because it's damn good evidence, because regardless of whether or not it's in my case or in someone else's case, it's examples of the same thing. And the more of that evidence we get together, the better of a chance everyone has to stop this nonsense from happening. Okay? Because the system is designed to fail. That's the reality of it. You know, we have a charter, right? Our Constitution. And the charter, for all intents and purposes, when it comes to the construction of law, hence the section in the charter called Construction of Law, is the head of the snake. It's written in stone until the assembly changes it, right? I mean, technically speaking, no law is written in stone. But when it comes to law, you have to go to the fundamental rules. I mean, look at the states. If there's any country that talks about their Constitution more than any, it's the United States of America, right? Man, they beat the crap out of each other with that thing. But the one thing you see in the United States of America is that the Constitution generally gets upheld. I mean, look at if you make a good constitutional argument, judge has no choice. They rule in the favor of the Constitution every time. There's a reason for that. But it's a reason that we in Canada, we don't have. And that reason is we're disarmed. You see, in the United States of America, they have their Second Amendment, right? Right to bear arms, blah, blah, blah. And the people, and we'll say patriotic, I guess. I have a lot of American friends and family. Wonderful people. They are, I guess, a little more aggressive in terms of standing up for what they believe in, right? Hence the term patriotic, because they do stand up for themselves. Make no mistake. And for each other, too. I'll tell you one quick story about that. One example. I was coming back from Cleveland, Ohio. I was at the Cleveland station. I had my bags in my hand, backpack on my back. Using my cane that weekend because my left knee's bad. And with all that weight, I didn't want to stress the leg. I mean, I was walking fine, and I brought the cane more of as a precaution, but it takes up space. I need to hold on to it when I'm going anyway, so whatever. And went up to cab, get a business card for the next time, so I can get a cab next time to where I need to go, because I didn't have their number. I just wanted their card, put it in my wallet. But my hands are full. So I take the cane and I took the rubber piece that's on the bottom and I just tapped this door with the rubber piece. And this Caucasian guy behind me on my right comes over, hey, thinking I'm trying to rob the cab driver. Cab driver puts his window down. At the same time he's yelling. I'm like, you got a business card? He's like, oh, never mind. Yeah, turns around and walks away. I try to ignore it because you don't really want to pay too much attention to that kind of stuff. Once they realize that they're in the wrong, they stop. But I actually shook his hand and thanked him afterwards. I said, thank you for showing concern. Although next time, wait a little bit. See what happens before you jump the gun. And it wasn't even from Cleveland either. From New York. So he expected, you know, it's going to happen quickly. And I'm just a guy with a cane asking for a business card. But it was just interesting, you know, how quick he did that. And so many other people that were there were saying, yeah, we all do it. We have to. because they say the police here are pretty much useless, which is another big thing you see in the press about the states, right? I can't agree or disagree with that. Never really had any experience with them. Only experience I had with police there was when I was in Manhattan, dropping off paperwork for the UN. And I saw some police officers. And like I've seen on TV for years, people get pictures taken with the local New York police. You know, you're a visitor, right? No big deal. You're a tourist. The tourists are going to do that. So I thought, hey, you know, you guys mind if I get a picture with you? Oh, bad move. Never asked the police in New York City in Manhattan for a picture. I was like, sorry guys, I'm leaving. I'm just a tourist. I'm out of here. No, I don't need that. They did not like the idea at all. I get it though, it's a tough city. But anyway, getting back to the issue. You know, when you compare how it is in the United States versus how it is in Canada, right? We've been disarmed a long time. It was long before I was born. And in the States, they have the threat, right? That they can, if they don't get their way, or their rights are not upheld, whatever the case may be, there's the risk of, you know, civil war because of the fact that they have the right to bear arms and the right to use them, right? So the way their constitution is written, I don't remember the exact sections and exactly how it's interpreted, other than to say that they have the right to actually fight, physically fight if necessary to get change. So in the United States, they do have that barrier. We don't have it. So a lot of times they give in out of fear. Yeah. But in Canada, no way around it. Okay. We don't have that. So the politicians and the judges, they all know that because this is not the United States, right? You're not going to have a repeat of the story of the crucifixion of Jesus, right? Gets crucified because if he didn't, people were going to raise hell, right? That's the main reason that he got crucified, according to the story, if you believe that sort of thing. But that's the case, right? So it's the same exact example. But in Canada, we're numbed. No, I take it back. We're muzzled, right? And then we have censorship. So they have the ability here in Canada to say, you can't show that. You can't do that. You can't say that. And you're screwed. What are you going to do? Now the public isn't aware of what's actually going on because they've muted it, right? And legislative changes. They're making some new changes to the Divorce Act nobody even knew about till the last minute. You know why that is? I mean, it was publicly posted. But they post them in these little accessible but not publicly aired locations. How do you know to look if you don't know it's there? But the rules aren't written that way, as long as they publicly air it. So it's available. But if you don't know where it is, how do you get to it? Right? If you don't know they're doing it, then you don't know where it is. How do you know to look for it? And therefore, how do you find out where to get it? Right? That's the game they play. The judges in these matters, they make a fair amount of money. You know, $300K, $350K, $360K a year, right? But I want you to think about something for a minute. What if there were a lot less cases in the courts? If all these family court problems were solved, what kind of money would the courts be making? You ever look into that? I never did any full detail on it, but I can tell you right now from my own personal experience, and I've spent a lot of time in the courthouse, so I know how much, you know, a pretty good idea of how the case, how many of each types of cases go, and the majority of cases are family court. Yeah, you get a lot of criminal matters. They don't last very long, thanks to our charter. They generally don't take too long unless you're going to go to trial. Then you got the delay, 2 years, whatever. But in terms of litigation, there really isn't, you can't really compare criminal to family. Because the criminal proceedings are a lot. I'd say there's more adjournments, continuances, delays in the criminal system than there is in the family system, in terms of compared to dates that are actually doing something. In family court, it's all a giant waste of time. Judges are not interested in the truth. I mean, you get judges that are decent, right? There's one judge I met. First judge I ever got. Very first. Best judge I ever dealt with. Only dealt with them on 3 separate occasions. One for an adjournment. One for family court. He sided with me hands down. And the other one was at criminal. Okay? And it was brief. And I've only ever been charged with one crime, and I didn't even commit it. And that was with to do with this family court matter. So that guy, his name is Justice Colvin. I don't know his first name. I could look it up, but doesn't matter. He's in Welland. That guy's awesome. Okay? The honest to God, good judge. Follows the rules. He has a heart. And I've seen him in the criminal system literally giving messages of positive messages, uplifting messages to the potential criminals that he's dealing with. And isn't screaming and yelling at them like I had at my last court date. That was fun. He treats you with respect and dignity, listens to what you have to say, is willing to give you breathing room to deal with your problem, whether it's in family court, whether it's in criminal court, whatever he's doing. He's fair. He gives time. And he's a very patient judge. So if Justice Colvin ever gets to see this video, thank you for showing me what a judge is supposed to be. I wish there were more like you. Because every other judge I've dealt with the exception of not one other one that I had on August 1st, which was a fill-in, she seemed reasonable too. But it was just for a trial assignment date. So she didn't really do a whole lot. But in the way that she was acting, she was, I'd say, 90% of what Colvin is. But the rest of the judges, shame on you. That's all I got to say to all of you. Shame on you. I mean, really. I don't know what it is. Is it sexist? I mean, do you not like junk? Male junk? I don't know if I can say the word on YouTube, so. Is it male junk that's the problem? You against the male body? What is it? Because I really have no idea. I mean, when I look at everything I've had to go through, my child and myself have had to go through, the sheer amount of evidence we have. So I'm just going to get to it. We've got the Crown Attorney colluding with the Children's Aid, and I got the communication records to prove it, including what they talked about. Okay? Setting me up to fail, to exchange hands of custody, by arranging my unlawful arrest under some Trump recording charge and instructing the police to lay the charge, and then causing delays in the family court system. Literally agreeing to it, releasing information they're not supposed to release. Which brings me to what I was saying about the judges when I was saying, with your female judges, what's the matter with you? With the exception of the one that I dealt with, but the rest of you,
that I dealt with. If you've dealt with my case, you've had a hearing with my case. With the exception of the one from Guelph, you know who you are. What is the matter with you? You let pedophiles and criminals around my child. You allow the Children's Aid to break the rules. Not just rules, forget rules, the laws in this country, and abuse my innocent child. Left me without counsel to defend myself. Don't let me put my documents on record and then argue that I don't have a good argument and then screw me over. And while you're at it, breach procedure too. And the process per the rules. But then try to quote other law to try to support yourself. Completely showing favor over lawyers and assigning credibility based on the number of people making allegations versus the evidence. Every excuse to not look at the truth. Realistically. You know what I got accused of, folks? I'll tell you what I got accused of. This is the latest one. This one was a hoot. I got accused of supposedly threatening to kidnap my daughter. And the claim was that I was going to put my daughter in my sailboat and sail her across Lake Erie in the United States of America. I'm trying really hard not to hold in that laugh, just how ridiculous that is. And I'm going to tell you why it's so ridiculous. I don't own a sailboat. You know what I own? A red canoe that I'm using a shower curtain for a sail so I can test it, so I can turn it into a sailing canoe. Because I don't know where my sail needs to be, what size. I found a place that can make a sail, but they need measurements and all that kind of stuff, right? Well, in order to get that, I have to do testing and see what the boat can do, how fast I can get it to go. So I'm using a Walmart shower curtain for a sail. That's what I'm using. With a steel pole as a mast from a fence. I got 2x4 and 1x2 in there. Some mahogany on the front to keep water out of the front. A canoe. Across Lake Erie. With cracks in the hull, no less, too. So, and he thinks I'm going to do that with my 5-year-old. Excuse me. Chewing on Skittles. And I got some Skittles spit down my wrong hole here. How many of you have done that? But man, it's painful. That's what I was accused of. Supposedly, I keep it in Port Colborne. Supposedly. I'd love to show you, but it's a webcam attached to my desktop. I can't exactly take it out to show you, but I assure you that my waterlogged, pretty much like a bathtub-filled canoe, because I have it upright right now, it's sitting in the backyard. I move it around with a canoe cart. People have taken pictures of me and put it on Facebook making fun of it. Canoe carts are bought, by the way. You buy them at the store. Use them to push your boat around. So you don't have to go too far. Because I live close to the Welland River and the Welland Canal. Don't need a vehicle to move it. I can do it by hand. Anyway. It is more plausible. It is more reasonable, if there's such a word with these stupid stories, to claim that I would build a Lego spaceship and try to take it to Mars. It's just not going to happen. So, even the judge, I'll give her credit for that one. There's nothing else I can give her credit for the entire hearing, but one thing I do give her credit for was the smile she made when I explained to her it was nothing more than a canoe. Well, the shower curtain, that's a sail. You know, and it was before she even realized the shower curtain part. It's just like, it's a canoe. It's not a sailboat. I have a canoe. I'm pretty sure she could tell that was a phony story that they were making up. And not to mention, How many of you travel to the U.S.? Because I do. And I'll tell you right now, with the Trump administration, trying to travel across the border without a court order with a child? Are you kidding me? In a canoe? Their immigration wouldn't allow it. They got the fixes on NAFTA anyway. Still wouldn't be able to do it without a court order. You know? You got a better chance of you got a better chance of talking KFC out of their secret recipe than you do crossing the U.S. border with a child without a court order. So, it's laughable, really. But you can't count on the courts. So, what I've learned is that you have to provide perfection. Okay? So, what I mean by that, your ex makes an allegation, or thanks to the new grandparents' laws, your parents or the ex's parents decide they want to buy for control, like my parents did. Dirtbags that they are. Anybody can make an allegation in family court. Okay? But don't think for a minute that because they made an allegation, you can make an allegation that's going to get you anywhere. Because it won't. The court's going to decide before you even walk in the front, in those doors for the first time, who's going to win that case. They're not allowed. The law doesn't say that. But they do. They absolutely do. And all the resources in the system, they all collude together. Okay? And it's funny because my friend Jeff even said, the Supreme Court of Canada ruled on the Children's Aid Societies that Children's Aid, although found guilty, absolutely guilty, were not being punished because it's not in the interest of, it's not in the public's best interest to hold them accountable because they're the only child protection agency in the country. Well, I happen to have it on good authority. There's quite a few people that assisted in writing a brand new legislation. There's a number of copies out there of different types that people have done. The country is quite capable of replacing the child welfare system. Literally like that. It's not hard. And in fact, what I find distressing about it is the sheer amount of money involved for everybody involved taking the children's aid down and replacing them. Because the court can essentially do what it needs to do. It has jurisdiction. Especially the Supreme Court. I mean, think about how much money they've been making off the innocence of our children. For over 100 years. Easy. Okay? We know that they store their money in at least 5 different locations offshore. We know that they use some of that money to help lobby to change laws out of Toronto. Okay? It helps them to have a place to blame for some of the spending that they're not telling us about. Because we never get a proper report on the children's aid finances. Ever. But if the Supreme Court of Canada was to do their job, shut them down, seize their assets, and I mean it, take everything, just bam, they got nothing. Oops, my snap didn't work. There we go. And take everything, their buildings, their hardware, their bank accounts, freeze everything, take it all. The sheer amount of money that the government, the officials. The government would be making in a heartbeat, like literally overnight. It would be insane. It really would, because they don't really spend their money on helping families. So where does it all go? Right? And that's the question that answers the question as to what's been going on all this time. The reality is they're not going to do it because it's the government officials getting paid to help them out. Right? If they were to do it, they all get exposed. How much of the government gets shut down as a result. So of course they're not going to do it. But that's just my take on it. But in terms of local court, your individual cases, nobody's going to help you. Legal aid's not going to help you. The lawyers aren't going to help you. They want money. That's what they care about. You get good lawyers, don't get me wrong. I talked to a guy today. Wonderful guy. He wanted to help. But the cost, it is insurmountable. He said for me to get that fixed it'd be about $50K. No way around it. And that's not even a full win. Otherwise I got to plug away at it by myself. I'm eligible for legal aid, but they won't provide the services. Which I find funny because they're obligated to. It's in the charter. I'm entitled to. It's even the way it's worded. Let me see if I can bring it up. I recently started using DuckDuckGo. Wonderful search engine, by the way. You guys are awesome. However, a lot of my searches don't come up the way they need to, and I always have to revert back to Google to get them. Especially things like Canadian Charter and all that. It likes to revert me to American stuff. Those are just leftover candies from yesterday. I went to see a new movie, Ad Astra. I was on my way home. It's not hardly in my financial budget, but after spending some time with my daughter, we had court on Monday. I needed to give myself something. In fact, I haven't been to the movies in a long time. So I just rode my bike over there and went, hey, let's watch a movie. One of their combos came with Skittles. I like Skittles. Yeah, so the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. And, itchy. So, that's not the version I wanted. Hang on. They leave out stuff on that one. You got to be careful with the sites you go to as well. That, there's a government website that comes up. And, excuse me. And, the problem with that government site is they try to leave out important stuff. They really do. They sum it up. Don't give you the breakdown so you can see what the interpretation is. I go to Canly because it works. And this is it's not what I wanted either. Give me a moment. Where is that link? And it's bugging me because it should be yeah, right here. Got it. Charter of Human Rights and Freedoms. All right. So you got to be careful with it. Okay? You got to understand it proper. Judges don't care about it. Trust me, they don't. They don't care. Believe me. On Monday, I was treated very inhumane by the justice because I pointed out what they were doing was wrong. And because she couldn't intimidate me, which is a key thing. When she rose her tone at me, and I'm sure that many of you have experienced this, especially dads that are self-reps. You're speaking for yourself. Judge yells at you. What's your first instinctive response? Don't think of what you say. What response does your body have? Your face will go beet red. You'll feel hot in the cheeks. Right? I don't do that. I didn't do that with her at all. No matter how hard she tried to push my buttons. I'm like, yeah, well, okay, but I know I'm right. So, you know, it's, you can yell all you want, kick and scream. I am a father. What do children do, right? I'd never experienced a judge act that immature before. It was ridiculous. Luckily, I had somebody with me. And we're working on it. Hopefully the CJC or senior judge or somebody will nip that in the bud, but I don't think so. So, anyway, the Charter says, Section 1, fundamental freedoms and rights. Every human being has a right to life and to personal security, inviolability, and freedom. Now think about that for a minute. The way law works, any of you that have experience in the courtroom know what I'm talking about. Lawyers will manipulate and twist everything they can to get what they want. Right? It's all about convincing the judge. So, when you look at the Charter, it's so broad, but it's so point blank. It all boils down to how can that law be interpreted? How can it be manipulated? Right? Before you do that, or attempt to do that, you got to remember there's more laws in here. Under chapter, no, 5? No. Yeah, 5. Under chapter 5, special and interpretive provisions. I think that's a section. Yeah, it is. Section 50. The Charter shall not be so interpreted as to suppress or limit the enjoyment or exercise of any human right or freedom as enumerated herein. You want to see that part? I'll show you. I just realized I can show you. Sitting here looking at myself like I'm looking at a mirror, watching myself eat Skittles. Check it out. Is that the button? No, that's the wrong button. The wrong one. There's. Okay, right here. See it? Oh, you know what? Oh, it's still showing. Oh, I think it's still showing me. I'm looking at YouTube on the other screen now. No, it's showing it. Okay, there we go. The Charter shall not be so interpreted as to suppress or limit the enjoyment or exercise of any human right or freedom not enumerated herein. Which means that you can't misuse the Charter, and you can't misuse the Charter to deny a right that may not be necessarily labeled within the 1 to 38 of the Charter, because 1 to 38 is the key ones. Because if you go back to 50, it says right here, no provision or any act, even subsequent to the Charter, may derogate from sections 1 to 38 except so far as provided by those sections, unless such act expressly states that it applies despite the Charter. Right? So you can't, whoops, actually there's another part here too. You can't misuse it, right? Those ones are guaranteed. If any doubt arises in the interpretation of a provision of the Act, it shall be resolved in keeping with the intent of the Charter. So if you have any issues with respect to this Act, then bam, it has to keep within the intent of the Charter. The Charter binds the state. The Charter affects those matters that come under the legislative authority of Quebec. You have to understand that the Charter is the head of the snake, right? So in terms of what does it cover, it covers everything. If you actually take the time to read 1 to 38, you'll see that. Number 2. Actually, no, I take it back. We never finished with number 1. Number 1, I'll say it again. Every human being has a right to life and to personal security, inviolability, and freedom. And then at the bottom it says, he also possesses juridical personality. I had to look up juridical personality. And what it means is that they're saying that as a citizen of the country, you actually are a member of the administration of law. Now, to me, that puts me in a different position, which is why I acted the way I did at court on the 30th, when I approached the judge and said, I don't think we can continue with this hearing today. She knew what I was doing. I didn't have to tell her what section I was trying to do or act under. She knew darn well what I was doing. I was acting under my authority as a juridical person, as a member of the administration of law, to say, this ain't going to continue, not like this. Stopping it right here and now. Right? She didn't listen, didn't allow it, threatened me, but, is what it is. It's my vape. Comes in real handy, actually. Oh, that feels better. Okay, so let's take a look at what it actually says here under the law. Entity as a firm that is not a single natural person, as a human being authorized by law with duties and rights, recognized as a legal authority, having a distinct identity, a legal personality, also known as artificial person, juridical entity, juristic person, or legal person, also referred to body corporate. So, it's under the Law Dictionary. This is right from the Black's Law Dictionary, which, for the record, is used by the Canadian courts. So they can't say no. This is what they use for their definitions, right? So in that book, which you can get at the library, you can't take it out. You can't sign it out. You have to keep it there. Believe me, it's huge. You don't want to take it home. But, but it's helpful because it defines the definition of words that you're going to need, right? Here's another one the judge told me. 4 corners. I never even had to look that one up. I knew what she meant. Well, not right away. It wasn't until I got home that I found out what it meant. But she kept saying the 4 corners, the 4 corners. And my instinctive response was to suggest the 4 corners of King and Division Street in Welland. Because I have no idea what freaking 4 corners she's talking about. Speak English. Do you speak English? English? Because I don't speak whatever that was. And what she meant was the embodiment of my affidavit that she didn't have. She had my old one. It was changed by court order. I was allowed to change it. But then she didn't want to accept the new one. So, which means you can't move forward with the hearing because we don't have the same paperwork. So why are you proceeding? And not to mention she broke the rules and protocol anyway. Because there's another hearing that was supposed to take place beforehand and she didn't do it. So, I was set up to fail, clearly. But again, you know, when you look at these definitions, these terminologies they use, another one is facta. A facta. If you Google facta, you don't get an answer. Factum comes up. But they said facta. And I'm getting the U.S. factum. So which is it? So therefore, because I don't know what a facta and books are, how can I file them? How can I even fill them out? I don't know how do I draft a facta and books if I don't know what it is? Right? You might as well say, I'm going on a vacation and I want you to set me directions to that vacation spot. And so then you say, where are you going? Just get me the directions, they say. Well, I need to know where you're going first. How can I do that if I don't know where you're going? Right? Put a blind man in a car. Tell him to drive at high speed. But he can't veer off the road and he's got to stay in his lane. Have fun with that. So I didn't even know what that was. So I couldn't file it. I had to wait for direction from the judge. Which, by the way, is in the legislation. Didn't give it. So facta in books. And 4 corners means the details of the main issues of your affidavit. Right? Stuff I didn't know in the courtroom at the time. They take advantage of the fact that you don't know these things. And so, how do you protect yourself? Well, you can't. But hold on a second. Let's go back to the charter. Do a Control F to find it. There it is. Section 34. Every person has a right to be represented by an advocate or to be assisted by one before any tribunal. Well, the court is a tribunal. But I have no lawyer. Another section here. Oh, what was I typing in now? Forgot. Protection. Ah. Well, heck, it's right in the. It's in more than one location, but that's okay. Here it is, right at the top of the charter. Charter of Human Rights and Freedoms. Whereas every human being possesses intrinsic rights and freedoms designed to ensure his protection and development. Whereas all human beings, here it comes, are equal in worth and dignity, and are entitled to equal protection of the law. Now, what does it say when you go to Legal Aid? When you go to their website? They're entitled, they're obligated to provide you protection of the law. Got to protect your rights. So, when I go to those sections, it's in there, somewhere in the 30s. I'm not finding it exactly right here, but whatever. It's in the very top of the charter too, under its purpose, right? And every section of the charter has to be in line with that part I was just reading, because that's before number 1. Every act has got a purpose, or should anyway, and they have to be in line with this purpose. And its purpose is just a very, very brief breakdown of what it's about. So if there's something in there that's not mentioned in that purpose, then it's not lawful, right? And we have rules, and judges have discretion in order to provide openings, okay? So that they can ensure the job is done right. That, ouch, just bit my tongue. That they're impartial. That's the other one. Which every person has a right to a full and equal public and fair hearing. Oh, it's an interpreter. Never mind. That's way at the bottom. Here it is right here. Well, I actually started up that way. Never mind. Every person has a right to a full and equal public and fair hearing by an independent and impartial tribunal for the determination of his rights and obligations, or of the merits of any charge brought against it. So, you're entitled to all the rights and privileges, fair and impartial hearings and trial, counsel, being treated with dignity and respect. So let's see. How many dads can hold up a hand and say, hey man, we've been treated exactly like we're supposed to be treated. We're not getting treated like dirt. No, we're treated wonderfully. I'm crossing my arms because I sure as hell like to be treated that way. And there's mothers too, but mostly fathers, right? That have dealt with this. But why is it? I mean, less than 100 years ago, women didn't even have rights to their kids. Men were in charge, as far as kids were concerned. And you know what the interesting part of it is? You ain't gonna believe this. I mean, there was a lot of cases that were, very much the opposite of what we're getting now, right? But not nearly as many. Dads were less likely to be like, I'm not letting you see your kids. Are you kidding me? When dads were in control, most of the time, dads were like, take the kids. I'll pay for stuff, right? Looked after their family. If the mom couldn't do it, then the kids had to come stay with dad, right? But mom wasn't left high and dry in most cases. Men have actually been quite reasonable about it. I mean, there's douchebags in every country and in every walk of life, but by and large, men were a lot nicer. Now, women, it's the poor me card every 5 minutes. Us men, we're about purpose, right? Use my boat as an example. I have a shower curtain for a sale. Why? Because of its purpose. I don't care what it looks like. I'm trying to figure out what the sail's supposed to be. How big it's supposed to be. Like how tall and how wide. What sail type. You know, it's a lot cheaper to ruin a $13 shower curtain than it is to pay $100 for a bloody sail. Custom made to find out it's crap and you gotta redo it. So, and the wrong spot and those other stuff. Man, for what I'm using it for anyway, I might as well keep the sail the way it is. I just pop it in the canal or the river. It's not meant for the long haul. But I'll go fishing, go relax on the Sunday, put my feet up, enjoy the wind, enjoy nature, be alone for a bit. You know? What's wrong with that? But, what was I saying? We're purpose. We're all about purpose. We're less concerned about the appearance of things. More concerned about whether or not it works right. You know? We're more factual. Like, get to the point. Just tell them what it is you want. Where women are all like, you know, oh my goodness, he made me feel this way. Oh my God, he just can't see his kids no more because he just doesn't understand that my toenails have to be the right color. Really? Seriously? Women are so vindictive, and I'm not being sexist by any means, because I'm not. I love women. Why do you think I have a daughter? I have a child because I love women, right? But the reality is that women don't really, a lot of them don't love us back properly. And it's not a sexist thing because it's not all women. There's plenty of decent women out there. Are you kidding me? Lots of wonderful ladies out there that won't treat people like dirt. But society has conditioned women to turn into vicious, sexist, feministic bitches, to be completely blunt. You know, who cares about the kids whether or not they have to see their dad? Who cares about shared custody? Who cares about being reasonable? It's all about women's rights. You know? Men can walk on the street with no shirt on. Are you ever going to hear a man say, do you ever hear a man say, stop looking at me because he's got his shirt off? No. She's a woman, look at him. He's like, yeah, man, she likes my digs. Right? Okay. Well, here's a woman. In Canada since 1997. They can run around with no shirts on. No bra, too. Right? Yeah, a woman walk down the street, her boobies hanging out in all their glory. Guys walking by, happens to look, sees them, going in. He ain't grabbing. He ain't making a comment. He's just noticing them. Stop looking at my boobies! You pervert! You got them too! We're men. We see boobs. We're gonna look. What's the problem? They're boobs. I got boobs. They're just different. It's not an inappropriate thing. I'm not saying people aren't going to be inappropriate. Some women are inappropriate too. I've seen it. Go to a public pool or down at a beach or something. Some girl doesn't even know the guy walks up, likes his chest, and goes, "Hi, honey." You don't see the guy charging her, but you'll see his girlfriend come out and go, "Excuse me, get your hands off my man." You know, like they do that, right? But the men don't go up, except for like the real perverts, and really you don't see them too often. That'll go up and actually grab, you know, a woman, got her top off, right? Yeah, just look. Honestly, keep right on going. They'll see another pair anyway. Right? So, you know, they're not being rude. I'm not saying people don't make comments like, "Oh my God, nice rack." You know? If they're that nice and didn't mean to say it out loud, whatever. But it's the differences in the sexes, right? What they consider appropriate, what we consider appropriate. But when dealing with the courts, you're dealing with a lot of women. I don't mean that because of exes. I mean that because of the judges. Lawyers too. A lot of females in the legal system. Too many, in my opinion. We need to get back to the basics. Discuss what's realistic. Men tend to be more realistic. I mean, really, we are, naturally. We're not looking for all the drama, right? You wanna build a garage. Man's gonna look at that and go, "Huh? I need X number of supports, X number of beams. Got to make the roof a certain way. Got to make the foundation a certain way. So this way it's not going to come apart. Worry about what it looks after we get the foundation and the structure up. Okay, now let's take a look at this other stuff. Give it a woman, make it a woman's job, and she's all like, "Oh my goodness, I need to have proper drapes. I want to put a window here because it gives extra light." It's a garage. You're going to put your car in it. Seriously. You know, but I swear to God, you let a woman build that garage, and you'll have two problems. One, it ain't going to last very long. It really won't unless she's really good with doing that kind of stuff. It ain't going to last that long. Actually, three problems. Two, it's going to cost you a fortune. And three, man, you might as well wear rainbow. If you let your wife make you a garage, you might as well put on a rainbow. Switch sides of the fence, buddy, because, oh my God, everyone's going to think you're gay. Hands down. Man, you're going to have like flowers and maybe some clouds with a sun in the corner. Next thing you know, you'll be walking down the street in a pair of sandals and painted toenails. So, yeah. And that's assuming it's still standing. I mean, realistically, right? Guy builds his garage. What does he build it with? Material that he's supposed to build it out of. I'm not saying all men are smart. There's a lot of dumbass men out there. But he's gonna build it as best he can. Right? He's gonna try to make sure it's secure and it's not leaking and the walls are straight. He's gonna put it. He's not gonna spend a lot of money on it if he doesn't, you know, if he doesn't have tons of money to spend. He's just gonna make it look decent, right? It's gonna be painted, look good. It's not gonna be it's not gonna win a prize, but it's gonna store his car and all his tools. That's what it's for. It's a garage. Anyway,
the courts, getting back on that, like I said about the charter, you know, that set of rules right here, this set of rules, courts don't care about that. They'll even tell you it doesn't apply. It does apply. Absolutely does. Show me in the law where it says it doesn't. And I can show you only one spot where, and I've already shown it to you, where it says, okay, it looks like my, there we go. Seemed to have lost connection. And then it came back again. It's just the streaming software. So, you know, like I said, when you're dealing with the law, you have to be really careful. You know, us guys, we're pretty straightforward. You know, I've been relatively passive my entire life until this happened. But most men aren't passive. They'll be like, excuse me, you said what? You know? I'm not saying they're going to hit somebody, but you're going to be like, I don't think so, buddy. You know, you're not going to take someone's crap, right? And the sad part is you get men in the courtroom and they think they have to take someone's crap. And they're that thought is half right. Okay? Sorry, changing my filter. Sometimes like pipe tobacco is really expensive. I don't have the money for it. And I do buy cigarettes every once in a while. And I save that tobacco for my pipe when I'm in the mood to use my pipe. I find it relaxing. Especially in the summertime. Have a campfire, smoking pipe. And I use the filter from the cigarettes in there, and they come out like this. After so many uses, it gets a little gross, and you can't breathe it. Can't inhale. It's real thick. I don't use it much. I'll buy 1 pack of cigarettes a month. That's it. Just one. I don't even always do it either. Sometimes I even buy cigars. But anyway, yeah. So, in terms of the legal system, you're screwed. You really are. You're going to be at a disadvantage. It doesn't matter what you feel. They don't care how you feel. They don't. They don't care about the safety of your children. That's all they care about. It's the sad truth. I've not seen a moment in the courtroom other than that one judge where my child was actually considered. You know, we have lots of sections in the law. Look at the Children's Law Reform Act. You know, if your child, like my child's 5 years old, if your child's opinion and wishes and desires can be reasonably ascertained, then they have to consider it. But you know how they get around that? The Ontario Children's Lawyer, who doesn't ever tell what the child wants and will cover up for the Children's Aid. Children's Aid said something, they totally repeat it. Why would they do that? Right? So first things first, let's talk about the OCL for a minute. Ontario Children's Lawyer is not there to help you. It's not there to help your kids. It's not there to tell the truth. Don't think for a moment you can breathe at ease with these people. Okay? They will threaten you point blank if you don't let them have what they want, and they will tarnish your name and threaten you with it before they do it. So don't deal with the Ontario Children's Lawyer. If the judge wants some kind of a custody assessment, dig into your pocketbook and get one that you got to pay for. I mean it. Get an independent one. And make sure it's someone that doesn't have any affiliation with the CAS or anybody else. Make sure all their meetings are done in such a way that there's no way in hell, heaven, or earth that anyone can buy them off. Okay? The best advice I can give you is don't go to court. Anything you can do to stay out of courts, do it. Because the courts are just going to tear you apart anyway. Our system is a joke. People aren't interested in helping you, so don't expect help. Not even the lawyers. The lawyers will tell you the longest route, whatever makes them the most money. If you're dealing with the Children's Aid, Jeff provides a how-to guide to get your file. So if you're dealing with them, the first thing you need to do, and I didn't do it either, is shut the hell up. Don't say anything. Treat it like being charged by the police. Say nothing. And it doesn't matter what they threaten you with. Say nothing. Do not, under any circumstances, unless they got a court order, let them in your house. Never let them in your house. Never let them near your children. And even with a court order, ensure that your children are not alone with Children's Aid. I can't say that enough. They are the enemy. Stay away from the Children's Aid. And those of you that call the Children's Aid with a bunch of bogus claims, what the hell is the matter with you? And you kids that do it too. Get mad at parents and call the Children's Aid on them. My computer's making a weird noise. Huh. One of my fans. What is the matter with you with calling on your own parents? If you got a reason for it, don't call the Children's Aid. Call the police. If it's legit, if you're in danger. Real danger. Not manufactured danger. Real danger. But if you're not, then what are you calling them for? Don't. I just realized something. My lip still has a problem. On this side. Yeah. Sorry. Noticed it in the camera. I'm trying to drop my whole bottom gum, and this side won't go down. See that? Got attacked last year on behalf of my ex. Some guy attacked me while I was out, and I got nailed in the chin real bad. And that side doesn't function anymore. Not like it should. Nerve damage, I guess. But yeah. Anyway, so you know, and with you moms, I mean, can I speak to you moms for a minute? And dads, show this to the moms if you want to. Show this part to the moms. What is wrong with you? Realistically. If you're vindictive and you're targeting your ex, what is wrong with you? Are you that kind of person that you can't put your children first? That you gotta be ignorant little turds? And the same thing goes with grandparents, like my parents. What the hell's the matter with you? I mean, realistically, what is the matter with you? I get that society teaches us to be dirtbags because that's the way the world is. That doesn't mean you have to be. My daughter is my life. Being separated from her has been the worst torture ever. Having that relationship stolen from my child and from me. And for what? For no good reason. Not a single valid reason. No evidence. No truth. Just a bunch of shit talk. Can't be content being grandparents for their granddaughter. No, 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 no. Gotta steal her so we can control everybody. So I say again, what's the matter with you? Are you that heartless? Because I got news for you. For each and every one of you vindictive parents out there, your children are going to hate you. I mean it. They're going to hate you. They're going to despise you. You can make up all the stories in the world. But at the end of the day, you have zero justification for what you're doing. Those children will hate you for it. My daughter, she knows. I have to see her in a stupid supervised access facility because of my parents and their shit talking. Didn't do anything wrong. Made up a story. CAS decided to write a letter to say, well, we believe him. And bam, I'm in a supervised access center. But just yesterday, she was telling the staff to screw off. Because they were warning us it was almost time to go. She told her to stop. She's getting angry. She wants to stay with her daddy. Came right out and said it. Have fun with that. And she's 5. You think it's going to get better between now and as she gets older? No. She's going to get more pissed off. So what's the matter with you people? Are you incapable of working things out with your ex? Or with your family members? Or being reasonable? Obviously you are if you're forcing litigation for total strangers that are money hungry, bums for the most part, sitting there making decisions to tear your family apart. They're making money destroying your lives. They don't care. And you're going to go into the court system. I've seen cases where someone gets a half decent judge and the judge goes, you know what? You've been alienating that kid from their father. He ain't getting custody anymore. Completely reversed it. Kids go to dad, mom gets nothing. In fact, those cases make articles. They make news. And what about these kids? How do they feel?
about what you're doing. And I'm not saying every guy is reasonable. There's a lot of douchebags out there. Guys that are late. A lot. Guys that are abusive. People that are degrading. I get it. There are bad men out there too. And there are deadbeats that just want to have sex and move on. But I've never been one of those. And I'm pretty sure that most guys out there aren't either. And then, you got shit talking by you moms. Oh, dad's deadbeat. No. If you're talking shit about the dad, you're the deadbeat. When I talk to my daughter about her mom, like when I talk about when she's a baby, the things that we did, she was in my custody, I don't leave out the situations with mom, with her grandparents, or anybody else that gives me a hard time. I don't leave out the pictures that show the happy moments with those people either. I even showed her the video I made for my ex, her mother. It was supposed to be a marriage proposal video. It was going to get showed at the trial, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen now, thanks to this ridiculous judge on the 30th. But the video is a 14-minute video. I'm not going to show it on here. But all it is a slideshow with songs playing in the background, with little messages written across the screen. And those messages say important things about how I felt at that time for her mother. The video wasn't done yet. I hadn't put the marriage proposal in yet. But I was going to. I've shown my daughter that video many times. I don't hide from her the truth. Ever. And I'm not one of those dads that freaks out, overreacts. I believe that every child can learn from their own experiences and has a right to be their own person. I'm not saying you let them run rampant. She gets her butt up on the back of a couch, and I'm going to be, excuse me, because I do it all the time. Excuse me, get your butt off of that. Sit down, please. Where's your butt belong? She just look at me, give me a little smirk. Put her butt where it belongs, because she knows better, right? But if she doesn't listen, and it's not really a potentially seriously dangerous situation, the most she's going to get is a little bump on her head or something for learning not to do that. Well, okay, if you're not going to listen, I'm going to pick one of those times where it looks like you ain't going to be able to stay up there very long. I ain't going to say nothing. You fall over and you give me a little whimper. What did I say? Why did I tell you not to go up there? Well, what'd you do? I fell. You going to do it again? No, Daddy. I'm sorry, Daddy. Get the waterworks and okay. Did you learn your lesson? There's moments like that in life that have to happen, right? We all learn when we stub our toe. So tired. I haven't slept much lately. But I'm not a bad dude. Very emotional guy, in fact. My daughter's first Halloween, I wore a tutu. dressed her up as a fairy, and I have a pink tutu myself. I was giving curtsies in it. No joke. I'm secure enough in my sexuality that I can put on a tutu with my daughter. It's the only Halloween. Well, no, I got to take her out for Halloween once 2 years ago. That was it. Haven't had a Christmas, not since her first Christmas. Haven't had a birthday since her first birthday. I get 3 hours a week with my kid. I went from sole custody to 3 hours a week because my own parents conspired against me. And we've got him. There's enough evidence to criminally charge him and convict. There's plenty. But nobody cares. I know you were hoping to see an answer. Anybody that watched the video this long, that you were looking for an answer. I used case law. I read legislation. I looked at all the laws I could find. I talked to almost every lawyer in all of this country. And I'm telling you, it's the same thing over and over again. That's all they care about. And when you don't got money, you're screwed. The only way change is going to be possible in this country is if people band together and do something about it. That's the reality of it. I don't want to suggest what the solution is or what I think it might be. I'm going to leave that with you. I have nothing left to lose, so, you know, it is what it is, but it doesn't make it legal, it doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it moral. If you're from Welland, I have some advice for you. Don't attend Christ Community Church. If you're from Dunnville, the same applies to the Highway Chapel. My father, the pastor there, does not practice what he preaches. He doesn't believe in God Almighty. If he did, his behavior would be different. He feeds off of the parishioners for control. I believe him to be a sociopath and or narcissist. And that's how he feeds his disease. So protect your children, protect yourself, and do not attend that church. There's a couple of parishioners there that have been helping them as well, and you don't want anything to do with those people.
Some people would think, well, man, don't you have other family, like a brother or sister? I have a brother. You don't stand up for what's right. He likes control, just like my father. I haven't seen my nephews in 4.5 years because he's a piece of shit. Never bothered to defend his own brother. He's a piece of shit. My aunts and uncles, they don't care either. My cousins, everybody, they listen to my dad. My mother don't care. In fact, I think they enjoy what they're doing. They smile quite a lot in the courtroom when I'm getting screwed over. They enjoy it. You know, even Dr. Phil did an episode about the tribal court. For grandparents trying to steal their grandchild, what they did to their own children. It's disgusting. His version, his opinion of what happened, he made it clear with them, with the grandparents, what they did was wrong. Which makes me remember, actually, there's another topic I want to touch base on real quick. There's Americans that want to come to Canada because they don't like Trump. I've met quite a few of them already. And I have one simple question for each and every one of them. Are you on drugs? This country is about as safe for your children as Australia. You guys should Google that if you don't know about it already. We have, and I get it, the Americans will claim the same thing. They got it there too. That their CPS is like our CAS. I'd rather deal with your CPS. Hands down. I could deal with your CPS literally overnight. If they had ever came and complained, if someone complained about my daughter in my custody, I would have had them in and out in one day. You get one of the vicious ones, it's not going to go very far. They can be dealt with. There is a process in the United States for dealing with them. Not in Canada. There's no accountability. So how does anybody in the United States want to come to Canada with their families? We had a group of people leave Canada in 2000. 128 men, women, and children were accepted, had received asylum from the United States of America because of the Children's Aid Society. And that's no joke. It was an Amish community. Because the Children's Aid come and knocking, took 4 kids away, kicking and screaming, using the police to do it. Because the church pastor was stating in the service that it's okay to spank their kids. That was the reason. No other reason. That was it. So the Supreme Court of Canada ruled to change Section 43 of the Criminal Code because of its wording. Kids got returned, but by then 128 people had already left. A few came back, but not many. They didn't feel safe, nor should they. There are much better ways to make honest money in this country than there is dishonest ones. The people in this country that run this country have abused the indigenous peoples and now other minorities in addition to the indigenous peoples because they see money in it. I feel the suffering and pain that you indigenous folks have had to live through. My daughter's part indigenous. And I love your culture. If I could live on a reserve, I probably would. To be honest with you. I'm an outdoorsy kind of dude. I prefer outdoors to begin with. But I'm not indigenous. Anyway, this video's gone on a lot longer than I wanted it to. I actually meant maybe a 15-minute video, but it didn't quite work out that way. Just think about what you people are doing. Okay? Put these kids first. Not yourself. Because the judge sure as hell ain't going to do it. So, use still some common sense. Alright? Don't be dicks. Put those children first. And for you dads who give up because of it, I feel you, brothers. I really do. But I come from a long line of family members who fought a lot worse and never gave up. My daughter is the air I breathe. I can't stop now. I wish you all the best. And think before you have a baby. Take a good hard look at your partner. Make sure they're the one that you can trust. Because I'm telling you right now, you get in the courts, you're screwed. It's a sin. It's illegal to have a penis. The courts don't like penis. Anyway, pretty tired. And still trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do. I'll tell you one thing for certain. You can't live like this. So how can anybody expect you to do it? Anyway, good night. Wish I had good news for you.